today we're talking about, can stress be healthy? I like this topic. Do you think stress can be healthy?
This is going to be down a rabbit hole. I say a rabbit hole, because it's definitely, there's days I'd say absolutely, and other days I'd be going, no flipping way. So I instantly would say yes and no.
Right.
But in reality, the answer is yes. But some days you actually just want to say no. And when I say you say no, it's when you're feeling like you're broken and you're like, come on, I just can't get out of this. This is discombobulated. I'm beyond the 10. I'm actually at 100, or I'm actually 1,000 right now. And at that point, I would suspect you'd say, no flippin' way it's healthy. You cannot convince me.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest, and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome, dear Deb. Hi,
Welcome.
my dear. Welcome.
Hi.
Here we are with another one of our deliciously motivated mindset podcast conversations. And this one's going to be really good. We don't often have these kind of conversations, although it's always threaded in. We're going to talk about stress today. Got to talk about stress.
That word.
Yeah, so that might actually affect the next part that I'm going to go into. If you've listened to our podcast episodes before, welcome back. And if you haven't, welcome. But what we like to do before we kick off our conversations is to assess ourselves. And assessing ourselves, we're checking in to see how are we feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I like to think of that as the PEMS check-in, PEMS. And we use this scale of 0 to 10. 10 is like chaotic, super stressed out, not knowing what to do, stuck, all that kind of stuff. And 0, discombobulated. Yes.
Moira's favorite word that
one of my favorite words.
More and more in this last week, yes.
Yep. Discombobulated, that'll be stressed out too. And then, of course, 0 is zened out, feeling really present and calm and just, calm, peaceful, harmonious with your surroundings, inner and outer. And the truth is, we move up and down that scale. So this is just an assessment tool to check in. Tell yourself, where are you? So, dear Deb, where are you?
3.
Aha.
3. As I was sitting there listening to you going, where am I? Oh, my body feels heavy. My head's sort of a little bit. I've just looked outside and seen that it's drizzly and raining, and I've gone, ugh. So literally, I would have said a 2, but as I start, instantly I would have, 2. And then I went, actually, your body's heavy, and look out there and get real. It's just a number. 3.
So Deb's at 3, and I'm actually at 2. The sun is actually shining here. It's not drizzly raining.
Well, we're first thing in the morning, and she, Moira's not.
The other side of the world is blue sky, and it's kind of windy. It's actually very windy, but
good.
It's very beautiful, and we're coming into spring, whereas you are in fall going into winter. So
I actually think we're in winter, although the calendar says we're not, but it feels like it. And that even that just affects your 0 to 10.
Oh gosh, does it ever? Yes, we because we are multi-dimensional beings, right? We don't exist just on one plane. We exist physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And absolutely, the weather does affect a lot of us. So listeners, we encourage you to just check in with yourself and assess, make a wee note of where you are now, and then do we check in at our halfway point, and then we will all check in again when we wrap up our conversation today. Our intention with these conversations is to always help people come closer to the 0, ourselves included, of course. And so checking in with that, we've got Debz. Deb, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It looked like our internet was getting a bit wonky there, which could maybe be
wonky,
a bit
which also can take you to a 10.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So today we're talking about, can stress be healthy? I like this topic. Do you think stress can be healthy?
This is going to be down a rabbit hole. Say a rabbit hole, because it's definitely, there's days I'd say absolutely, and other days I'd be going, no flippin' way. So I instantly would say yes and no.
Right.
But in reality, the answer is yes. But some days you actually just want to say no. And when I say you say no, it's when you're feeling like you're broken and you're like, come on, I just can't get out of this. This is discombobulated. I'm beyond the 10. I'm actually at 100, or I'm actually 1,000 right now. And at that point, I would suspect you'd say, no flippin' way it's healthy. You cannot convince me
that is healthy.
No podcast that this is actually healthy right now. Because of that simple scale. Yeah.
Simple scale. But the other thing that I think is really important, and this is where, like you said, we're going to go down some rabbit holes on this conversation. And I think it's super important to think about definition, right? Because I always remember attending, I think it was a lecture about humans, how we deal with stress. And the speaker was saying, let's face it, we actually need stress. We kind of thrive on stress. But what she was talking about was the kind of stress of, what she was equating it to was like the stress of getting ready for a holiday, or the stress of going and doing something that you really liked, like you had to like if you were going to an amusement park. She was talking about going on a ride at an amusement park, so on a roller coaster, for instance. And then she said, assuming that you like going on roller coasters, because personally I don't.
So she was talking about the fun that you're going to have when that, the joy, or
exactly. But then there's a stress of, I have to remember this, and I have to pack this, or I have to attend to this, or I have to make this call, or I have to, so thinking of all the things that you need to take care of in order to get to the outcome. And so the point being, to me, and how I took this to be, was that the type of stress that's healthy is the stress that's short term. It's short lived. It's like, I have all these items that I need to take care of because I'm going to do something that really lights me up, that makes my heart sing. So it's not a constant, right?
But even when you say short lived, if you're a day, one day sitting in your mind as stress, a ticking time bomb stress, that's a long day.
Yes, it is.
Short-lived could be just got to get all these things done, and then the car's coming at 5 o'clock. If I can just get everything done. There's definitely an end result for that, unless the car doesn't come at 5 o'clock. But even that day can be turmoil. I think I would say number one tip is, it's just a word.
Okay.
Stress is just a word. Well, actually, have we done any tips? I haven't written any.
Well, I said, because the first one I had said was definition, was defining it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Which is it?
But kind of use it. What your tip is, it actually leads on beautifully from that, because it's definition, but then reminding you it's just a word, right?
Yeah. It's not a life sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a word that can move.
Yeah.
But I think so when people say, oh, I'm stressed, some people, and I referenced my dad, because he's old school. Thanks, Dad, for listening or not listening. And he's like, build a bridge, get over it. You know, oh, stress. Oh, back in my day. Okay, Dad,
Right.
Great.
Thanks for that.
Dad. Yeah, fabulous. But at the end of the day, it is just a word. And I believe everyone has stress at a time in their life. And if you can acknowledge that stress and just go, oh, I'm feeling a little bit woozy today, I feel a little bit lightheaded, or I haven't eaten, that could cause you stress. Yeah. Or I've eaten too much. Oh, I'm stressed now. How am I going to fit that dress in? So at the end of the day, you can have a 1 scale of stress or a 10 scale. You can't run from stress.
No.
So you cannot ever get rid of all stresses. Like, that is unreal. If you think you're going to get rid of all stress in your world, slap your face right now and just go, wake up. No, don't. No, don't.
No, don't do that. That would just cause more stress.
Yeah, because you'd have a red. But you need to wake up and realize that that's unrealistic straight away. Because I don't encourage you to beat yourself up for that. But everybody has to have a level of stress, and everybody will have a level of stress. But it's just acknowledging that, like you said, the definition, and then it's just a word. Okay, well, that makes sense, because I haven't eaten and I've got a time frame, and now I'm having to lie down because I haven't eaten and I've got woozy. Well, of course, you've just literally run a marathon in 4 hours instead of 6, and now you have to do something else, and you're going to be stressed because you know it's not going to get done. Yeah. So I would just say, just acknowledge that it's just a word. It's just a word, and then how to deal with it from there.
It's like that. Kind of going on from that concept, my next tip is to avoid telling yourself a story about it.
Yeah.
Because and I was just feeling into that as you were describing. I was like, oh, I'm so stressed. It's like, no. Look at it, like unpack it. What are you really feeling? Because it can sometimes be that, well, I'm just feeling like I maybe I overbooked myself, and I need to reassess and kind of say, okay, I'm going to prioritize the top 3 things that I have to get done, and I'm not going to stress out about the things that I have to delegate or put off till tomorrow or find a different time frame, right?
I think, see, people can cause stress, or you can call them triggers or whatever, whatever labels, whatever it is. But you can go, oh, I've got to go to my mum's today. Oh, God, every time I go there, all she does is moan. Oh, it's going to get me more stressed. I'm going to come out of there. Story. Absolutely. And, I've got to go to work today. And then so-and-so gets paid more than me. And they always go have a ciggy break. And that ciggy break is worth 2 hours of my day. And I still get paid, story. And I really want to emphasize, because those two are just literally 2 very different stories. But they can take you from a, yay, I'm going to work, to, I'm going to have to listen to my friend, they're going to have to do this, and then they get this, and and it can take you to a 10 very quickly. So those stories are really important to neutralize. To balance and get some beautiful energy and clarity around it.
Well, as you were talking there, I was thinking about, we're going to bring in the 4 agreements into this conversation now.
Oh, my favorite. Here we are. One on my desk. Ta-da!
Ta-da, there they are. Well, you see, if we're doing that, I'm going to my mother's and then I have to do this, and then that's not being impeccable with your word. Right there. Well, agreement number 1, be impeccable with your word. That means the words that you have spinning around internally in your head. So it's not saying it's accepting that, yes, there are stressful situations. Do you need to go on from that? No. Just kind of, okay, I'm discombobulated. That's actually part of why I love that word.
Yeah, that's just literally just a word. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, no wonder I'm feeling like this. It's just a word. Okay, well, I've got to go to my mum's or whatever. Yeah.
And so, and then, so the 4 agreements are, that first one is be impeccable with your word. The second one is don't take things personally. So if somebody's yakking away and it's and
it's coming into your stress bubble.
Yes, well, it's not about you anyway. The third one is don't make assumptions. Just because it's how it went the last time does not mean it's going to go that way this time. So it's always about staying present to what do you really know. And then, of course, the agreement number 4 is always do your best. And so knowing that your best is going to shift and change. And sometimes it's going to be because of healthy stress that you can visit, or that you can mitigate stress levels and stress responses within yourself when you realize it's a wave. It's like almost like a wave, right? Can you ride the wave of it?
I love the 4. I love the 4 agreements. They just put things into perspective. But I'm going to say guilt and shame, because the 4 agreements can take you to a stressed place, because you can go, even that last one, always do your best. Oh, I didn't do my best. I could have done better. Da, 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 da. Oh, I didn't,
That you have to, but see, you're not being impeccable with your word if you did that.
I know.
So,
well, it's an endless cycle, isn't it? But I mean, it's that shame and guilt. Oh, I didn't do this, or I should have done this, or all those things. It's like, let it go.
Yeah.
Because when we've talked about this before, we've talked about the driving the car and there's your front. What do you call it?
The rear view mirror.
Yeah, compared to your rear vision mirror. Yeah,
you're looking at the windshield.
Yeah, totally. So we're moving forward. So let's look at moving forward. Okay, you can't change the past. You can change your energy or your stress levels about your past, but it's about moving forward, letting go and moving forward. And guilt and shame play a massive part of that. Moira, you've got a letting go. I'm going to say letting go, but is it called letting go?
Yeah, I have a letting go guidance system. It's a deck of cards.
I know she's got a letting go thingy.
I actually have a letting go process that is actually the bedrock of my coaching system.
And I love that. And that is letting go of that guilt and shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. You're letting it go, and you're moving forward, because you've got to move forward with ease and grace. You don't want to be sitting in that ticking time bomb, that stress, that ticking time bomb.
But you see, you can move forward with grace and ease while managing stress, because let's face it, stress is here. It's all around us. But it can be, when we learn to embrace it and not get into storytelling about it, and not getting into shame and guilt and telling ourselves too many stories of like, oh, woulda, coulda, shoulda, then we can still be flowing. And it the word that just landed for me when I'm kind of riffing on that is remind yourself how resilient you are. We are all wired to thrive, to be resilient in the face of stress. But sometimes that means you got to come into your heart energy, hand over your heart and go, okay, my logical, rational mind maybe not be able to see the way through it, but I know it's there, and I'll recognize it when I drop out of that blah, blah, blah in my head and come into the wisdom of my heart.
I think what we tend to, we forget that we've survived in the past. And we're going to survive again. We're going to carry on, and we're going to get through this, because if you looked at your most stressful situation that you experienced, the worst thing where you're beyond a 10, did you survive? Yes, you may have had a broken heart in the end of it, or yes, it may have cost you financially, or yes, it may have been, but did you survive? Are you here listening to this podcast now? Yes. So and yes, so you made it through, and yes, you will have some stories, and we go back to those, and stress is just a word, and those stories are just a story. That's exactly it. But you've survived in the past, and you're going to survive again. At whatever level. I think when I think about our resilient, I know and I often say this, is when you've got a child and you've got a new baby, and your sleepless nights, and it's absolutely, and you literally are a ticking time bomb, I think. And and people go, this is the best time of your life, and you're like, really? I'm down to 2 hours sleep. every 4 hours, like this is not actually, or I'm down to 90 minutes. No, this is not a joyous flipping time right now. And people go, oh, how do you do it? I don't know. I've just got to do it. And I think that's it. You know, you talk about that resilience. I don't know how I got through. I just had to do it. I knew, you know, you arrive and you're driving along and you're having a beautiful time and you pull up and there's an accident on the side of the road and you've got some past stories that's horrific, but you jump out of your car and you help that person and people go, how did you do that with all your past stories? I don't know. I just knew I had to do it.
You just did it. And, absolutely.
And that's that resilience as well. It is, you just do it. You do what you do to get through. And I think that's important to, so that goes back to that, always do your best, the 4 agreements. But I think that's important to go, you are resilient. You've been through stuff before, you've survived, and you just do it. You just do.
I like
that. Into that position.
I completely agree with you. And that actually brings me to, I think, a tip that needs to be entirely on its own is trust. No. Because like you said, it's a reminder to all of us that we're resilient, but also to trust that you are a spiritual being having this physical experience and that you have dealt with stuff and you would not be in any kind of situation that you couldn't deal with, whether you saw it in that moment or not. It's to trust. Okay, I can't see my way out, but I'll recognize it when it shows up or when the idea lands, right? So it's to trust your own self.
Trust is a big one because we say to people, trust, they're like, I do trust. I'm like, but?
Yeah, I do trust, but.
I do trust, and you can hear that ... But I'm like, but what? But what? But trust is, I think that would be in everything. Can stress be healthy? Just trust it, trust. But it is something, and I think going on to that resilient from before. But I love that alone is just literally is a tip on its own. I'm going to say my other tip is people. Now there's there's a different branch on my people one, and my people is don't compare yourself to others.
Oh yes, superbly important.
Yeah, don't compare yourself to others, and the other, like, their stuff's their stuff, and don't take other people's stuff on. So there's 2 branches from that, because but they got this and I didn't get this and now I'm stressed. They got the job and I didn't get the job, so now I'm stressed and they didn't even need it. Like comparing is
there's
just
more story there, right?
Yeah, that's an insane one, comparing yourself. But also don't take their stuff on. And I'm even saying, even if they're your children, because people go, oh, you must help your children must come first. Well, actually, no, you need to come first.
Yes.
State me right here. We say that, and I firmly say that. But put yourself first. Don't take their, help them if you want to, but their stuff is their stuff. Like, don't let their crap come into your energy bubble.
Well, you empower them. You empower them by holding space for or educating them.
Yeah.
Take responsibility and tap into their own resilience. Of course, that's got a lot to do with age of the children too, because you're not going to go and say, okay, baby has to change its own diaper.
Oh, that would be lovely. Just go back to my 22 years. That would be very handy. Thank you, Sophie. But I know I have said it more and more to people when they say, oh, my friend does this and this, and I'm like, not your monkey, not your circus. And I'm like, are they coming to you for coaching advice, or are they actually just having a moan? Oh, they're having a moan. And I'm like, so did you want to spend 42 minutes listening to them moan when you've got other things to do? No. Okay, so it's not your monkey, not your circus. Cut them off and say, I can help you with that. But don't be offended if they say yes or no. Oh no, I'm just here to moan. Okay, well, I'm not the one to moan to.
Yeah.
If you're 42 minutes moaning to me, oh my God, I'm going to charge you triple. I won't let you get that long. You'll be lucky to get 2 minutes in.
But that's actually a really, really important piece too, is to always remember that we educate people how to treat us and how to speak to us.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to sit for 40 odd minutes listening to something whinge and bitch and complain.
I
like,
just don't think I could do it. I
No.
don't think I could do it.
No.
I don't even know if I could do 2 minutes of listening to you moan. Moira does. Sometimes on my calls in the morning, I get up and I go, I don't think I moaned today though, did I?
No, you didn't. Not today.
Oh yeah. No, not today.
No,
Sometimes
I
I get
guess
on.
so. See, I say that I, because I do have some patience and compassion, and I will listen. I will listen, but I will
The internet
also
will get
say,
stuck.
Mhm.
Yeah, she'll call me on it, definitely.
I will say there is another way of looking at this.
And it can be just as gentle as that.
That's right.
Totally.
Mhm.
But the people I think people's an invaluable tip is don't compare yourself to others. Well, they had that, so and that allows them to be very grumpy because they've, they might have grief or something. They lost their job, so now they're really desperate for money, and it's like, so that's their story. It's not your monkey, not your circus.
Mhm.
But definitely with the compassion, I get that, but don't compare yourself to their problem.
Yeah, truly. And because sometimes when that's going on, I'm thinking about some conversations that I have with clients when it's like, oh, but this is what's happening, and like, but really, do you really know that? Because they're actually making up this
There's
person.
some crazy ass stories
Oh
we can
gosh, is
create.
there? Oh, I know. And then it's like, well, so who is the, that's one that drives me crazy when people will say, oh, but everybody knows this one. Everybody does it this way. Really? Who's everybody? And
Yeah,
and are
I
they really?
don't.
I
Yeah,
don't.
but you're not my person. I'm not talking about you. And I said, well, drop the word everybody, because clearly it's not everybody.
It's not
Okay?
everybody. It's not everybody. Well, because it's so overwhelming, right? Everybody's thinking this way or being that way, and like I say, like, it does drive me crazy because it's like then they're setting it up as I'm a failure because I'm the only one that has this issue and everybody else got all together.
Yeah.
Figured out.
Everybody loves my partner, but not me. No. Okay, where did that story come from? It all just goes back to those blooming stories, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And so if you think about it, we're talking about, can stress be healthy? Yes, of course it can be. But we can also create a multitude of variants on that by how many stories we tell or allow to kind of blossom. I just get the image of a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
And it's all these stories.
Yeah, I think I'm just seeing him all the times we've gone stress. Well, look, my title, and I trademarked as a stressologist.
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely generate stress with people. Definitely generate some stress before we resolve some stuff hardcore. But it's just a word. It's just a word that we allow to filter in. But watch your monkey and watch your circus, because you can spend more time on everything.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
And the thing too is that whole part about making that it's not a constant. Because here's the thing about stress, the unhealthy aspect of stress is that when it comes from the amygdala, which is the reptilian part of our brain, and that's where our responses are, I call them the 4 Fs, the fight, flight, freeze, or freak out. And and I know that sometimes it can feel like all of them are going at the same time. Fight, flight, freeze, freak out. But when we have that response, it's the most ancient part of our physical being that's in reaction how our ancestors would if they were being chased by a lion or being chased by a predator. So this is why it's so important to stay present and realize that you don't want to allow that reaction to continue in your body because it's unhealthy. We're in sympathetic. And then so your entire nervous system takes a jangling because your physiology is reacting like, oh my God, my life's in danger.
Yeah.
And so if that does happen to you, because it can happen and it does happen, is I have a secret tool to teach you.
Oh.
And it's a breathing technique that I call the off switch for the amygdala response.
Ah.
And all you do is you take a deep, full breath in through your nose, pause at the top, and then sigh it out of your mouth, long, slow out of your mouth. Just like that. And you do a minimum of 3 of them. You can do even more if you want, but what you just did in that, breathing in fully in through your nose, hold slightly, and then sighing out, you're telling your amygdala, it's okay. There's no lion. There's no predator chasing me. I'm safe. And that's communicating to the unconscious aspect, which just fired up and thought, oh my God, my life's in danger. And really it was because somebody cut you up on the highway. or you missed a deadline.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. And it's such a quick and simple response.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that. So that's a tip on its own.
That's a tip on its own. Breathing. Off switch for the amygdala.
Yeah. I started thinking, can stress be healthy? One of the tips I would say is I'm going to use the words BD. And Moira's like,
BD,
oh no.
BD.
BD, and it's called brain dump.
Ah.
And brain dump comes in 4 steps. And because stress is sitting in your head, there's something going on in your head, and it's like
going round and round and round, right?
Yeah, and and there is no evolution to the end of it. It's just going round and round and round. So tip number 1 from brain dump is write it down. Simple.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Write everything down. Go room to room if you're in the home and you're stressed about everything. What needs to be done in this room? What needs to be done in this room? What needs to be done at work? What needs to be done with my eldest child, my second child? Like, write it all down. Write it all down, because all you're doing is you're pulling all the weeds out of your head, which is going to allow the flowers to come in. So number 1 is write it down. Number 2 is then put a date beside it. Now, that when you put that date, you're putting these in priority order, basically. But there's a word that goes with the date, and it's called realistic. So be realistic for that date. Don't go, okay, I want this whole house repainted in 1 week.
Yeah. No.
Okay, let's look at the realistic of that. Do you have the paint? Do you have the people? Are you going to move out? Like, come on, wake up, people. So when you put that date that you would like it done by, make sure it's realistic. 2020 taught us to pivot. Yes. Okay, so we are pivoting very quickly on our realistic date, because there's nothing worse than writing a date and then having to move it, which can be done because it's all movable. But
totally okay to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can go, oh no, I didn't want that. Oh no, now I'm a failure. No, none of that. So just get that date down, which you're putting things in priority order. You're then going, who can help me? But when you get this to who can help me, you're actually going, who can help me? Because there's 2 things. Who can help me do this? And do they love to do it? And then the 4th one is delegate. Who can I give it to? So there's a difference of who can help me. So Moira's really good at this. Her and I can do it together. So she's under the who can help. But if I didn't want to do it or couldn't do it and Moira loves doing it, I'm going to delegate it to Moira.
Right.
But either of those 2, you have to have someone who loves to do that task or whatever it is. Because if you get me to paint your house,
you might have paint in so many different places.
I just wouldn't do it. I just, it's not. And you go, yeah, but it'd be really good. We could talk when we're doing it. Like, no, I couldn't think of anything worse. So just remember who to help, who can help you, and who you can delegate it to, you must have people who love to do that task. And there's always people out there who love to do certain things.
Yeah.
So get them to help you, because this is so overwhelming in your head that you just don't get it done.
Mhm.
I mean, I've got tasks from 1, 2, 3 years ago that are so overwhelming in my head, and it's clearly not a priority or it would have been done, but they do occasionally creep in and I go, oh yeah, okay, who can help me, or do I want to delegate it? And then I just park it again. But this is the part of stress. Some I do, some I don't, but this is a part of stress because you're actually beating yourself up. Oh my God, I haven't done that, I haven't done that, I haven't done that, and it's just playing around. So brain dump, get rid of all the weeds in your head, everything. Like, I need to clean the washing machine, right? Like, if you go to my laundry, I go, okay, what do I want to do? I actually want to do a whole clean in my washing machine. Then I want to do this. And like, there's probably about 20 things just in my laundry alone. And people go, but your laundry looks very clean. I'm like, yeah, but there's things that are, annoying me, like this bar up there needs to be dropped down, or what, there's things. And other people may not see it, but it's all the stuff that's in my head. So brain dump it, because that is 100% going to allow your stress to go closer to a 0 than a 10.
And it allows you to chip away at the things that you, with some reality, with being realistic, right? Saying, this is really bothering me, so I'm going to take care of it right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, we do say, I know when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I said to the woman, this is not what I visualized right now. Didn't visualize being, actually, by the time I got to her, I was 18 weeks pregnant, I think. And she was like, what did you want? Did you want to have children? I was like, not now, not till I was like, not for another 10 or so years. She goes, move the goalpost. And I went, what goalpost? Like, I was like, what goalpost? And I remember her just saying, what did you want your family to look like? What did it look like? So I painted it out, and she goes, okay, so when can you have these by? From now. And I was like, oh, so I can have a partner down the track now. Okay, admittedly, it took me another 20 or so years to get that partner that I really like.
But it was possible.
But yeah, totally. But it was moving those goalposts, and just acknowledging that you can move those goalposts was so much else. Like, oh, I can move my goalposts. I thought when that date's set, that's a firm, and it's not.
That reminds me of it's actually an Abraham Hicks law of attraction teaching, and it's a game about just looking around and saying, wouldn't it be nice if? So wouldn't it be nice if you had it by this time? I'm sure it'd be nice.
That makes it, but isn't that just such a softer approach now?
Yes.
Just saying that.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have it done by this date? Well, yeah. But it's not it has to be done by this date in order to, that's just more stress.
Oh, I know. Well, we do. We go, oh, I didn't get it done. Well, and I reference 2020 probably 3 years later now. It's probably wise to let it go. But I think we all still have a little bit left on that. That 2020 taught us that goalposts have to move.
They absolutely do.
You do not know what's around the corner. So,
Well,
but yeah, wouldn't it be nice if that happened, or not?
It's okay for you to keep bringing it up, because we're still living the repercussion of it.
Oh, we are.
Right? That's that the year of pivot, and the pivot for a lot of us is permanent.
Absolutely.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if, and I'm grateful for 2020. I'm going to say it right here, right now. That would be the last tip then, I guess. Gratitude.
Oh, but of course.
Of course that one slipped in, because I'm going to say I'm grateful for 2020 because it really made me open my eyes to a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of actions, myself, my personal growth, who I was as a person, who I am now as a person. So can stress be healthy? Be grateful for it, because all it's doing is just showing you that there's a glitch in your system. And I say glitch. And it's just waking you up to, okay, let's tweak this, let's pivot this, let's water it.
Well, let's manage it. It's by managing it and understanding that stress, because there's a quote somewhere that talks about stress, that the amount of stress that it takes to create a diamond. So can you actually preface the stress as you're being polished up? The gem in you is being polished up, so you can shine your spectacularness.
Glitter
gratitude.
Glitter yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. Well. Time has flown on us. Surprise.
It did. No stress here.
No stress here, no stress here, but we better get on with these notes.
Mhm.
So if you didn't grab your note-taking device, quick, get it now. Quick. We'll stall for 2 seconds or not.
Tick, tick, tick.
Because we're going to have a recap and we're going to go through what we talked about. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through what we talked about. So have you got your note-taking device now? Have I stalled enough? Clearly.
Let's run through these tips.
Let's go through these tips. So number 1 was definition.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually didn't even write number 1 tip down. So because I just wrote the word definition when Moira said, have we talked about a tip? So Moira, you're going to have to tell us number 1. What's the recap?
The thing about it is to be careful about the defining stress, because that's when we were talking about we thrive on stress. The stress that we like is the stress of a joyful outcome, right? The stress of all the things that you have to do in order to get out on holidays or go to a amusement park, right? Yeah, that's what that one was.
Perfect. And number 2, thanks, Moira. Number 2 was, it's just a word. Just a word. Stress is just a word. Just a word that can be pivoted at any time. It's just a word. It's just a word. And remember, listeners, we did the 0 to 10 at the very start, and then you did it halfway. We're going to do that again at the end. But that's exactly it. It's just a number. It's just a number. It's just a word. That's all it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. The next tip I had here was to not tell stories about what you're feeling. We talked a lot about that, I have to do this. Oh, and then that means this happened, and that person's going to do this, and that person's going to do that, and then la. It's a story.
Blah, la, 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 la.
No and more blah, blah, blahs.
Those stories run crazy.
Okay, if unchecked, they'll just drive you crazy. They will. Trust me.
Yeah, totally. And that's when Moira actually talked about the 4 agreements. And the 4 agreements being, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And
always do your best.
Always
she was going to do a drum roll.
Did you not hear the drum roll? It was it. And always do your best. They're 4 simple agreements, yet can be so overwhelming for people. But just choose one and stick by it. If you find 4 of them are too hard, then just do a day or half a day of just choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 and just start with it. And then you'll go, well, this is actually really simple. And then bring the next one in. And if you don't do your best that day or on an action, that's okay. Pivot. Always get back to it. So don't let those 4 agreements be stressful for you.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Which actually goes nicely into the next tip, where you talked about guilt and shame, and we talked about letting it go, because that was the thing about when people say, oh, the 4 agreements are so hard, or it's another story, and can you just let that go? And like you're saying, your best one day might be completely different, higher or lower. It's okay. It's all okay. You are okay, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Moira's got the letting go
my letting go process
and cards as well here, which is fabulous. My tip is the next one I've got is you are resilient. And I wrote a couple of things to either side of that. It's been, you've been through times before and you're still here, and you just do it.
Yeah. I've got this, right?
I've got this. And even if it's if you're wise to put your hand on your heart and just go, I've got this, just reminding yourself and your soul that you're connected and you've got this. That's it. And then move on and then take it. Go and take it. But you are resilient. We forget that.
We forget that. But also to remind ourselves that we are wired to thrive. I just like that is a nice reminder about the resilience, right?
I love it. Wired to thrive. Gives me as I do it, yawn.
The next tip we talked about, and we decided it needed to be on its own, was trust. trust yourself. Trust you are in the right place at the right time. Even if your rational mind says, yeah, well, I can't see it. I don't see the solution. I don't see the way through it. So, okay, that probably is a good time to be putting your hand over your heart and saying, okay, just because I can't see it, it's still there. And trust yourself. You are capable. You are in the right place. Even if you do feel a wee bit discombobulated from time to time, it's part of human experience, right?
Yeah. It is totally trust. That's the thing that gets you through life, even though you just sometimes go, bleh.
Yep.
Trust. Yeah. Bleh.
Bleh.
The next one I've got is people, and there was two sides to this. Is don't compare their stress with your stress. Don't compare their life with your life. Don't compare their anything.
Yeah,
with
absolutely
your
nothing.
anything. So don't compare. And then the other one is theirs to manage.
Yeah.
So if they're stressed, that's theirs to manage. You can offer them a hand, but if they say no, don't be offended. Always do your best. Don't make assumptions. But theirs is theirs to manage. And I use the old not my monkey, not my circus on that one, because if someone comes to you with a problem, sometimes they just want to moan.
Yeah.
They just literally want to moan. They don't want any they just want you to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Okay. Don't come to me for that. No. I'm just joking. But theirs is theirs. People. Don't compare, and theirs is theirs. Yeah.
Absolutely. I like that one. The next tip was me teaching you a breathing technique that I call the off switch for the amygdala. And of course, the amygdala is where our fight or flight, freeze or freak out response comes, which does feel very stressful. And also using the breath is such a powerful way, because if we are panicky, we cut off our breath and we do shallow breathing. So the breathing technique is to full breath in through your nose, pause slightly, and then long, slow exhale, sighing it out, audible sigh, and do at least 3. I actually like to do 5, 3 to 5 of those. It just so calms your entire nervous system, and it helps you land into the present moment, which then actually oftentimes will open you up to that resilience or that sense of trust of like, oh, it's actually all okay. I was just listening to a story in my head.
Yeah, well, I wrote down no lion, I'm safe.
Yeah, there is no lion chasing me. I am safe. Because they were and that's why we get such. So we shift from the sympathetic into parasympathetic by using that breathing technique.
And it stops those stories that go running.
Yes, that does.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got my old BD. BD, which was brain dump, which was basically pulling out the weeds and replacing with flowers. And it's your gardening method. And so 1, you're just going to write it down, get it all out of your head.
Yeah.
2, you're going to put in a date order, and which is going to put in priority. But the key to that is make sure it's realistic.
Yes.
Realistic date. Remember 2020. And the last 2 is people. And 1 is who to help you do it, if you're going to do it yourself, if you like to do it, who can you get to help you? And the other one is delegate. If you don't want to do it or can't do it, or it's too much for your head, delegate. But those 2 under the people, my fingers are in there too, you must get people who enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And I talked about painting the house. There is no way I'm going to paint the house with you. If you ask me to paint the house, I'm not. I will literally flit away, get food, come back, make sure you're okay. All those little things. I'm not going to do it. So don't get me to who to help you with it unless you want me to help you find a team of painters.
Yeah.
And that I'm up for that, but I'm not gonna paint, and I'm definitely don't delegate to me. So you must get people to do it who love to do it. Yeah, that's my BD brain dump. That's my gardening tip for the day.
Debz BD tip. I think that we have one each left, because my second last one is that Abraham Hicks game, where it's, you know how we can get in our head of like, and this could have come up from your BD, you know, I put a date on it and now, oh, whoops, the date's just gone by and I didn't get it done. And so we can sometimes get a little bit too cross-patchy at ourselves. We're like, look, I just let myself down. But the Abraham Hicks game is, wouldn't it be nice if? Wouldn't it be nice if I made this deadline? It's just to be kinder to yourself and use uplifting inner dialogue. Because sure, it'd be nice if it was that way, but it's not the end of the world if it's not.
But even just saying that, wouldn't it be nice if, allows you to go, yeah. And it's not a fantasy,
No.
because when we think that, I think, oh, fantasy, wouldn't it be nice if I won $1 million from the check in the letterbox? Okay, yeah, but you don't have a letterbox, etc. So let's get real clear. But wouldn't it be nice if I could do that? Or wouldn't it be nice if that happened by that date? Or wouldn't it be nice? It's just such a softer approach to, gotta get
but
it
it's
done,
also planting. You're talking about, because we all exist in energy bubbles. So wouldn't it be nice? You just kind of putting that little droplet of water into your own energy bubble. I just think it feels good.
You're just replacing love. You're replacing it with love, I would say. Yeah. And the last one I had was gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, that's it. Glitter and gratitude. Make sure you're doing things that glitter and light you up. And be grateful for it, because if you do get stressed, or your body takes you out, or somebody says something and it triggers you, or you're watching TV and something happens, then it's showing you that there's something to work on. Like, celebrate this stuff.
It's like, yes,
wow, I've got something to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if I didn't, I'd be so boring. So be grateful, because just be grateful, because that's the way to live through life.
There's always something to be grateful for, regardless of what situation you're in or what's going on around you. There is always something to be grateful for.
Yeah, as 100%. I look at these tips, I'm like, what one's my favorite? So that's all the tips. Let us know what one was your favorite one, and if you've got any that we have missed off, let us know, because you're not just going to help us, you're going to help the listeners as well. So put them in the comments. That would be super awesome for that. So at the start, we did a check-in of our emotion from 0 to 10. And then halfway, we did another check-in. I was a 3, Moira was a 2. Where are you sitting now with this, Moira?
I'm a 0. I feel really good. I actually love these tips. I love what came up. I think my favorite one is the resilience one, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought that. But no, I do. I feel really good. I feel like we did go into a number of really
very
good,
different
supportive
ones. Very different to our normal. I would probably say trust is my big one right now. The tip that really stood out would be trust. So I'm going to say I'm a 1, because as we were wrapping up, when it came to the end of this, I started feeling my body getting really heavy, and I've gone a little bit cold, and I'm like, that's interesting, because I'm sitting in my office with my air conditioning on, my heat pump, we call it a heat pump, and it's warm and toasty in here, but I'm just like, oh, I'm a little bit cold. So I'm like, this is interesting. So I'm not going to say I'm a 0. Okay. I love the podcast. I love what we talked about. I'm going to check in on these tips. Trust, I think, is my big one. So that's interesting that I say that. You're going resilience. But I'm definitely not a 0 right here, right now. 2 minutes before we wrapped up, I would have said I was a 0. But I've just got
something popped in for you.
Yeah,
got it.
Some little number. So I'm going to deal with this. So can stress be healthy? Yes and yes. It's how you handle it.
That's right.
Say it.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If you love today, if you like today, love today, got value out of today, the next step for you is to let us know what was your favorite tip. I personally would love to know what your favorite tip was.
Yeah,
and then the next day, come back in and comment again what your favorite tip is, because it'll be curious to know if your tip has changed. Listen to it again, and then, actually, they said that, because we know when you re-listen to things,
you hear different things. You
do. So the next step is actually listen to this twice. I'd love to know what your tip was, and if your tip changed, that would be awesome. And share it with other people, and open that conversation, because it's one that we deal with every day in the media, in friends. It's out there. You cannot hide from it.
Nope.
And I'm a stressologist, so I literally say stress every day. At least once I say, stressologist. So I'm saying the word. every day.
Yep.
So let us know what number you're at also, people. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Moira.
Thank you, dear Deb.
Sharing your tips on can stress be healthy. That's the Deliciously Motivated Mindset conversation with Moira and Debz. And we are signing off now. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.